Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking into something pretty ambitious, the observer expansion theory.
Yeah, it's trying to weave together some really big ideas like God, consciousness, even time travel of a sort, and the multiverse.
Exactly. Our sources really go for it, so our plan today is to, unpack the main ideas and see how they hold up, both scientifically and, philosophically.
It's definitely bold. Trying to connect God and quantum physics, that's bound to raise some eyebrows and some serious questions right off the bat.
Absolutely. So it kind of kicks off with something familiar, the quantum observer effect, that famous double-slit experiment.
Right. Electrons behaving like waves 1 minute, particles the next, just depending on whether we're looking.
And this observer expansion theory really leans heavily on that whole observation changing things idea. It's foundational for them.
It is. But we need to be careful about what observer means here. In standard quantum mechanics, an observer can be, pretty much any interaction, anything that causes decoherence.
Right, like the quantum system getting entangled with its environment, forcing definite state. Simple interactions, not necessarily consciousness.
Exactly. But this theory takes a different path. It goes with the consciousness causes collapse interpretation.
Which is definitely not the mainstream view.
No, not at all. And they identify God as the sort of ultimate observer who keeps reality coherent by observing it.
It's a fascinating idea, but important to flag that it diverges quite a bit from standard physics.
The prevailing scientific view is decoherence through physical interaction. No need for a conscious mind. Proving otherwise is difficult, to say the least.
Okay, so how does the multiverse fit in? The theory apparently embraces the many-worlds interpretation, MWI.
Yes, the idea that every quantum measurement splits the universe, creating parallel worlds where each outcome happens.
So in this theory, God is observing all these possibilities across all the different universes simultaneously.
That seems to be the suggestion. But there's a potential snag there, isn't there?
How so?
Well, if God is the ultimate observer causing collapse into one reality here, how does that square with the many worlds view where there is no collapse?
Right. MWI's whole point is that everything happens, just in different branches.
Precisely. So it seems like it's trying to combine a collapse interpretation, divine observation, with the no collapse interpretation, MWI. It feels contradictory.
Like wanting to have your quantum cake and eat it too?
Something like that, yeah. It needs more clarification on how those two ideas mesh.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Time. The theory also talks about retrocausality.
Future influencing the past, a mind-bending concept on its own.
And the theory suggests our free will emerges from this, like we're navigating ripples traveling backward in time.
The idea is that maybe our intentions can somehow prompt this universal consciousness retrocausally.
Okay, but how does that work? Retrocausality has some theoretical basis at the quantum level, maybe?
It does, in some interpretations and specific scenarios, but extending that from tiny quantum effects to explain our everyday experience of free will and intention, that's a huge leap.
Yeah, what's the mechanism that seems to be missing?
Exactly. There's no clear, scientifically established mechanism for how my intention now could retrocausally influence a past quantum event, let alone how that relates to a universal consciousness.
And it also pictures our individual consciousnesses as, data probes, extensions of God's consciousness.
That's the analogy used, yeah. Feeding experiences back to the source. It has echoes of panpsychism, the idea that consciousness or mind is a fundamental property of the universe.
But panpsychism has its own issues, right? Like the combination problem.
Absolutely. How do tiny bits of consciousness combine to form our rich, unified experience? It's a major hurdle. The theory suggests we're extensions, but extension and feedback aren't really defined in scientific terms here.
So it's part of that larger trend we sometimes see. People trying to bridge science and spirituality. Thinkers like Amit Goswami, maybe Federico Fagan too, emphasize consciousness.
Which is fine. Exploring connections is interesting. But we do need to be cautious about, quantum mysticism, stretching quantum concepts way beyond what the science actually supports.
Good point. So summing up the critique, observer expansion is ambitious, certainly thought-provoking.
Definitely. But it builds heavily on non-mainstream interpretations of quantum mechanics. And it incorporates concepts like God that are, inherently outside the scope of current scientific methodology.
And the big one, falsifiability. How could you possibly test this?
That's the core issue for it as a scientific theory. Claims about a universal consciousness or God actively shaping reality through observation. They're very difficult, maybe impossible, to test empirically right now.
Without testable predictions, it remains more philosophy than physics.
Which leads to a final thought, maybe for you listening. If we just entertain the core idea for a moment, interconnectedness, observation being key, how might our very understanding of knowing change?
What if consciousness did play a more active role, even if we don't grasp the how?
Exactly. Even if the mechanisms proposed by the specific theory don't hold up scientifically, the questions it raises about consciousness and reality are profound. Definitely something to mull over.